So I told them, and I said, you will have an opportunity to draw a picture of a first responder, and it will be on a t-shirt like this. Well, of course, they were thrilled to death.
Sure.
And then I said, what you can also do is you can also write a thank you to a first responder. It was really an eye-opener to see what they thought about first responders.
I do not know you, but I am your brother.
You do not know me, but I am your protector.
I will run into a burning building to save your life.
Though I do not know your name, I will take a bullet for you.
Though we've never met,
I believe in duty and sacrifice
of self.
Your family is my family.
Is my family. Your life is my duty.
What's going on, guys? Time for another episode of Behind the Uniforms. Good friend came out from New Hampshire. Super excited. First, some logistical stuff. If you've never seen the show before, the way it goes is this. We invite veterans, first responders, supporters to come out. They bring a bottle of whiskey for the whiskey wall. We share a cocktail. They share a couple stories. It might get a little bit noisy because we're building out a brand new production studio upstairs. So sorry, we're not at the dentist or at a we are at a construction site. And we keep a bottle of whiskey here and a glass at all times in honor as a tribute to the men and women who will never be able to tell their stories here at the Whiskey Wall. So without further ado, tell them who you are.
Thank you, Kyle. And first of all, thank you so much. It is such an honor being invited here to the Whiskey Wall. I'm very excited.
I'm the one honored. And you brought good whiskey. This is from New Hampshire, right?
It is. Live free or die state. Awesome. But my name is Eileen Doyon. I'm from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and I'm a storyteller, author, and publisher.
So I understand that we are drinking to your father.
We are.
So a tribute to him. Tell me a little bit about Dad.
My dad
would have loved this.
Cheers, you. Would have. My dad was the best thing in my life. He was a Marine. He fought in World War II. His older brothers were fighting in the war. They had gone to war. My father quit high school when he was 17 years young. His boots hit Iwo Jima when he was 17, and he served there 31 days out of the 36 days of Iwo Jima. That actually was supposed to end in 48 hours, and it lasted 36 days, and he was there 31 out of
God
the
bless
36. Him. Yeah. And, you know, I never knew that until right before he died.
Really?
Well, the Greatest Generation, unfortunately, what they did is they went, they served, they fought, they came home, they started businesses, raised a family, and they never talked about the war.
Absolutely.
And I am so embarrassed that I never knew that my father fought in Iwo Jima until a couple of months. I was going through papers because we knew my dad died in 2011 of lung cancer. It was horrific for anyone that's lost a loved one and been there through any disease, but lung cancer, it was horrific. And it tore my heart out. And I had lost my mom and my brother early on in the 80s, and it was just me and my dad. And went into a real dark area of my life without getting into a lot of it. So did a Google search, and what did they tell you to do? They tell you to start journaling and writing. Yeah. So I started doing that, Kyle, and it wasn't enough for me just because of my personality and things like that. And so I told Danny, I'm going to write a book, because Danny and I, my husband and I, have always been very veteran oriented. We've always, done participations and events and donations. We live near Pease Air Force Base, which is actually a refueling station. They still keep it there. And it's where the planes land when they first come back from overseas, and when their last stop in the U.S. before they go over. So we have an organization called Peace Greeters, and we're part of that, which is a phenomenal organization. But anyways, I decided to write. I told Danny, I want to write a book. He looked at me, said, that's a great idea. And I said, no one's going to read it except for you and I, right? And he said, probably not. And I said, well, there must be other women that feel the same way about their fathers that served in the military, that are very proud and want to write a tribute to them. So I reached out to a lot of my friends, because our fathers all served mostly in World War II, and they were thrilled, Kyle. They collected things from all over the house, because we knew that our dads were in the war, but they never really told us anything. Sure. So people started doing like scavenger hunts and gathering all this information. And after the book was published, never published a book in my life, and never even thought of an idea to publish it. And I said to Danny, I think I'm onto something here, because it made people feel good. Awesome. And it was a healing and an inspiring event for me and for others. So I was debating with the idea, and I came home from work one day, and there was a small package on the table. I opened it up, and it was my dad's dog tags. they had cleaned out the family home, and I opened it, and it was my dad's. Of course, they made them out of bronze back then.
Yeah.
And I looked at him, and I just started crying, and I said, this is a sign, Danny, that my dad, I'm on the right track,
Yeah.
and I meant to do this.
Yeah.
I meant to do something more for the military.
If that's not a sign from God, I don't know what is.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, thus, Unforgettable Faces and Stories was born, and that's what I started, and I'll be on my 8th book this year.
I love it. That's
Yeah,
wild.
I'm very excited.
You know what we're gonna have to do, right?
What?
We're gonna have to display those books on the whiskey wall.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
We'll have to. We'll make that happen.
Awesome, thank you.
I see you got a shirt in front of you. Talk to me about that.
I do. In putting together the book, I wanted to do a little bit more. I have amazing people like yourself that I've connected with during this book, first of many. And I know that you're contributing a tribute in the book, and I don't want to mention the person's name, but it's great that we have the internet, and you have Behind the Uniforms, and you have that gives people an opportunity to tell their story, because it's so important. And like you said, the whiskey wall is for them. Well, my books are for them.
Awesome.
And I think that we want the personal touch. I think people are yearning for that and missing that. So that's why I chose the theme of the first responders, tributes to first responders.
Awesome.
And so what I decided to do was to do a little bit more than that, and to reach out to kids, because I think that what you're doing with Operation Innocence, with that organization, and what other people are doing is phenomenal. So I wanted to do a little bit more. So what I did is I came up with the idea that when my book comes out, which will be right after Labor Day, right around September 11th, and what I did is I had my nephews, who are 7 and 9, draw pictures of first responders. What does first responders mean to them? Because we don't really know what they're thinking, because they hear all these things about preventiveness,
Yep.
but what do they really think about being a first responder? Because we have big shoes to fill.
Totally.
And I know that there's a lack of people that are going into the firefighters and
Yeah.
EMTs and even in the military, so we have to do something about that. And we have to teach our kids that being a first responder is a great thing, and it's a great honor, and to help other people. So I had my nephews do this, and I put on a T-shirt, "Thank you First Responders," with unforgettable faces and stories. So this
Love
is
it.
for you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
You know, we're developing a wall in our new studio that's
That's
just going to
awesome.
be featuring some of these incredible shirts. What's next? Because you've talked to me about sort of that forward thinking for your books about where we are in society. So what can everybody expect?
Well, this is what everyone can expect. First of all, from my book, what I want is I want people to do tributes to first responders, loved ones. My stories are peaks and valleys, because lots of times people feel that the stories are just about people that have died, and that's not true at all.
Yep.
Life is peaks and valleys,
Yep,
Kyle.
totally.
And that's just the world we live in, and it's never going to change.
Well, that's one of the reasons why with this show, when we have a lot of these men and women on, we say, tell us about a good day and about a bad day, because you're 100% right. There are good days and bad days. There are highs and lows.
Definitely, definitely. So I'm excited because of the versatility of the books, and the ups and the downs and things like that people write. I have like an 8-year-old boy that's writing a story about his father that was a fallen policeman, and then I have a gentleman that I met online. His name is Josh, and his father and his grandfather were both policemen, and now he's a policeman himself, and carrying on in the generation, and I think that's incredible. Unfortunately, his father died of cancer, and that happens in life too. And and it talks about the family being together. And you had Trish Buchanan on your show. And Trish talked about her husband that committed suicide, and I think he had 20 plus years as a policeman, which is awful.
And you see the shirt for Believe 208, her foundation behind us?
It's a great foundation and a great cause. And when I connected with Trish, and she is on this mission because she feels that her mission now is to talk more about suicides in the law enforcement, because it does happen all the time. And whatever you do in business, you own your own business. Trish was she's part of the team. Because when he left his house, you know, she was with him out on the streets, and it's a family affair. It really is. And I think it's a beautiful thing that she is trying to help other people, because you know what, when the day's done, that's really what it's all about, is helping other people. And Trish was so complimentary because she wants to write a book so that she can inspire and help people. And this gives her an opportunity to kind of kickstart and to write and to take her career to that level. I've had several people that have written books, that have written stories in my books, that have gone on to write books like that. Again, positives and negatives, peaks and valleys in regards. I've Amanda Coleman, who you know, the Irish Angel, who's phenomenal. She's participating, and Banning, who
Awesome.
I'm very
member of our task force, Banning Swetland.
I'm very excited about that.
Me
Very
too.
excited. So
Me
some
too.
big players, and Joe, the co-founder of Blue Lives Matters, who is a great organization.
Yeah.
But so what I want to do is I want to bring this home and in classrooms. So my goal is to go to classrooms, to get involved with them. I went to my home school of Fort Edward, New York, and what we did is we had 40 kids. 40 third graders. You know, here Danny and I go to New York and we walk in this classroom, there's 40 little kids, you know, sitting there. And of course you have to hold their attention for 40 minutes, which is challenging
Very
as it
challenging.
is. So I'm like, okay, I can do this, right? And I'm sweating, going in. And the kids were phenomenal. You know, of course, they're a little standoffish at first, but I wanted to get in the thank you part. So, you know, I talked about thanking the teachers for inviting us in and talking to them. And then we talked about how important it was to say thank you to people and why. So that was the opening part of my discussion with them. And then the teachers wanted me to discuss about being an author and talking about my books and things like that. And I wrote a book about pet tales, so that was an easy one to talk with the kids about, you know, doing pet tales. And then I had a couple of t-shirts for them, and we talked about drawing in first responders and what they were. And, you know, they were raising their hands and they were starting to get comfortable now, and they were telling me about, oh, I know this person is a first responder, this person. And it was always, my grandfather was in the military, because you're talking about little kids, and so most of their grandfathers were in the war, fought in the war. So I told them, and I said, you will have an opportunity to draw a picture of a first responder, and it will be on a t-shirt like this. Well, of course, they were thrilled to death.
Sure.
And then I said, what you can also do is you can also write a thank you to a first responder, or you can write, why is it important to say thank you to a first responder? And I said, and maybe what we can do is we can publish a book with that, and you can become an author too. Well, of course, they're thrilled to death, and now they're like all up in front, you know, and they're all hanging out, they're tugging and giving hugs and the whole 9 yards. And it was really an eye-opener to see what they thought about first responders. And as we were leaving, we did a video of them thanking a first responder, because I
Awesome.
think it's important for them to do that out in the world.
Yeah.
And when we were leaving, there were 2 policemen walking the halls, and they were interacting with the kids and things like that. And I got to talking, I spoke to one of them afterwards, and he said, we come up here every day. We never come up the same time, and we each take different sections of the school, and we talk to the kids to get them
Awesome.
used to it. Is awesome.
I love it.
The world we live in, and it has to be done. So
Totally.
I think we have to think about kids on that side of the table also, Kyle.
100%.
So, you know, I'm doing t-shirts, and we're going to put, you know, the school's name and sponsorship on the back of the t-shirts and have those available. You know, I'd love to give all the kids a t-shirt and,
Awesome.
you know, get local businesses involved and
Yep.
things like that. So that's where we're going. I don't
Awesome.
know. Yeah.
Shameless plug time. How can people check out the books?
Oh, great, thank you. I have a website, Unforgettable Faces and Stories. I have a Facebook page with the same name, Unforgettable Faces and Stories. Faces and Stories is my Twitter, and I'm out there on social media. And for my call of action for today, I would love for people, if you are interested in writing and still contributing a tribute to a first responder, there's still time for you to do that. You can message me through LinkedIn also. That's under my personal Eileen Doyon, but all my book information is there that you can message me and I'll get in touch with you ASAP. You can purchase my books through Amazon, and you can also tag me on my Facebook page and I'll get in touch with you, and I have books available from home as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me.
Oh, well,
I
thank
think your dad's right there. We probably should have left the chair out for him. But
I think
he's
he
pretty
is
proud
too,
of you.
Kyle.
Thank you so much for
Oh, my
joining.
pleasure.
Guys,
Thank
thank you for watching. Thanks for hitting the share button. It takes you 2 seconds. Literally, will take you 2 seconds to hit that damn share button and go buy a book. Don't be cheap, huh? Thanks for joining.
Oh, my pleasure.
Guys, God bless America.
God bless America.